So, any questions from the yesterday's session or any questions?
Mm, Madhavi, I'm trying to save the record. Once we create any record, right,
Mhm.
will be record name will be there, right? So I want to save the record name into the variable, so that I need. I mean, I just want to understand how to write that command.
Okay, yeah, that I'll go today, but just to, give you a heads up, we can use get web element property
Yeah,
slash text.
yeah, I use that, but
Mhm.
I don't know how to give the locator. I mean, we need to identify the locator like X path and give there, or that maybe you can cover that today. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, sure. I'll cover that. I'll also let you know that. Um,
okay.
okay. Just give me a second. I'm just pulling up the Excel queue. Just a second. Okay. Yeah. So let me share my screen. Okay. So the first topic that we go over today is verification of the information on the web application page. So if you see, we have this Salesforce login where just a second. Yeah. So we have the Salesforce login where once we click on this profile icon and go to the profile, we can verify my username and the password, and also we haven't, yeah, let me, oh, there's no phone number. Yeah, and then if you want, we can also share verify some other details. So first we are going to see how we are going to verify the name, which every time it wouldn't have Madhavi, and the email also every time it wouldn't have the same email address. So in this case, we are going to follow the regular expression pattern and try to verify whether it matches the regular expression format. Okay. Now let's go back to our Excel queue and create a new script for this new scenario, which is verify profile information. And I'm just going to save and continue recording Design Studio, and I'll start the playback. I'm going to give the URL, hit enter, and I'm going to use the login action. Login to Salesforce. Just password. It's going to throw an error. Yeah. Now that we are logged in, my first step would be I would click on this profile icon and go to my profile information. So let it load. And here again, every time we wouldn't have Madhavi V only. So sometimes we would have ABC person and then other person also. So if you see in this case, ideally it's asking us to go with locator free. but I am going to choose smart locator because I don't want it to be Madhavi V every time only and then throw an error. Okay. So I'll deselect the text property here, update the web element, and then go to the A1 and yeah. So with the help of class, which is profile card name, it's a unique match. So I'll just say profile web link. Okay. Now, instead of Madhavi here, if it has any other text also, then it will go ahead and perform the click operation for us. So I hovered over it, right clicked, and I am using the smart locator.
Madhavi,
Yeah,
some of our team members are not completely aware of the DOM elements like attributes, whatever there in the web page. So would
mhm,
you mind explaining the checkbox you are doing, right? Class, tags, and
yeah, yeah.
ID. So do you mind explaining it in detail so that it will help other people to understand? Thank you.
Let me, okay. So if you see here, it's highlighting this information and let me open a different one. Yeah, this one. Uh, Let me open a different element. So it would be better to understand. Yeah. So if you see here, once we save the, once we open the DOM structure of any element, ideally it would have some pre-selected attributes. In some cases, this will, work out for us, but in some cases we have to come here and modify. So if you see here, the tag is selected, but here the text property, it is Madhavi V. And again, I have to keep in mind that if other persons also execute the same scenario and they're not using the same login credentials, then this text property is going to change. Okay. So we have to keep in mind that it majorly should not be dependent on the text property. Now, if I deselected the text property, it went ahead to 301 matches, which is element node E. And if you look here, it's highlighting all the matches in the page. But I want this element to be only constricted to this one. So how am I going to do? I'm going to check for the other properties here also. So we have this data aura, and if you see here, this is number based. So even if I check this, it's throwing me this error here, which is review attribute value. The reason is because this is not reliable and there are high chances of this values may be changing over the time. So if we want to use that, we should ensure that it's using the regular expression. So I don't want this. So I'll come here and uncheck it. And then, the class property. So if you see, this is an output text. So you can come here and select the class property. And from 23 matches, it went down to 4 matches. So I'll click on update. And if you see here, the first match is here, second match, third match, and fourth match is out of the captured view. So there are 4 matches in this page. Now, I want this to be a unique match. But if I look at the element node E attributes, there is nothing that I can convert it to an unique match. So I'll let the element node E be and go to A1, which is the ancestor element. And look, if I can make this with the help of this A1, I can make this into a unique match. Okay. So here already the tag is pre-selected. If I don't want that, I can deselect it and I can select the class property. And again, this class property also, if it has multiple values, you can edit it and remove the one which you don't want. So read only, let's say I don't want this test ID field value. I'll just remove this and only these 3 are selected. So you will see it here, but it would not be selected. Now this became into 3 matches. So from element node E, the attributes that we selected were 40 matches. And with the help of A1, we narrowed it down to 3 matches. But again, I don't want it to be 3. I only want it to be 1. So I'll go to A2 and see if A2 is any help. Seems like with the help of A2 also, it still will be 3 matches only. So I will go to A3 and again. But here, if you see, this dotted line represents A3 And what I can do is I can select the AQ data here and remove the Madhavi V and have only the static value, which is name. Then from equals, I can change it to contains and then add to locator. Sorry, starts with. Yeah. Now, if you see, this became a unique match with the help of A3. So this is how we will be saving the element to the Excel key repository. Any questions?
Is there any significant?
Uh, Sorry, I am unable to hear you.
Sorry. So, and from node E as the matches read A3
Winnie, your
value.
voices are really low.
Can you hear me?
Hello? Um,
I think she has some audio issue.
okay. Uh,
I think.
okay, you can type it in the chat, or we can just come back and discuss later also. So we'll just come here, click on save element, give the element name, and then create it. That's all. But in some cases, this is how we use the smart locator. But we can also use the CSS locator, the XPath, the jQuery selector also. But ideally, every time we use the smart locator only because this would be easy for us. Okay, now that we clicked on here, I want to verify these values. So what I will do is first I will hover over this and I will say verify. And here if you see, it says verify text property of button slash screen text whose label equals Madhavi V, and again expected value is also Madhavi V. So every time it wouldn't have the label name as Madhavi V only. So what we can do is we'll just go ahead and save this from text property. We'll save the change this to the, oh sorry, this is text property. From the element type button slash screen text, we'll change it to the static field, and the label of the static field would be name and the value would be Madhavi V. So it will look for the static field V, static field name, and it will verify the value. Now I can let this be and I can parameterize this later, or I can just change it to click on this match criteria, change to matches regex, and then give the regular expression here, which is A to C, A to C, and then let's say 15. Oh, orange. Oh, A to C, A to C, 0 to 9. Let me try this. Okay, this is not matching. Let me see this one. Okay, this is also failing. I think we can just instead of this, and just remove this. Then we leave this be. Maybe this should work. This to be and Let's try this. Yeah. So now the match it matches the regex. So now it can be of any name and it will match the pattern. The same way we are also going to do for the email. So again, I'll hover over this, say verify, and I'll say locator free. I'll want to verify the text, but I want to change the button slash screen text to static field, give the label as email, and then I'll change this to matches regex only. And regular expression I can give here is see, see 29 and I think it should something sorry. 0 to 9 dot underscore percentage yes 0 to 9. And but no, I did not get this right. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we can go here and match the regex for this particular email address also. If you're unsure, we have a few online sites. Regular. So here I can just say uh test another gmail.com. I don't think this is the one. Hmm, say I think this should work. This one also doesn't have. Yeah, I just check if we have the site. We had it earlier, but let me just check this one and then. Yeah, so if you were to give, if it has any Gmail, you can give this particular regular expression likewise. And then you can go ahead and copy it in the Excel queue. Uh, Now that we have this here, so this is how we are going to do. And I will just say log out of perform logout, and then you should click on logout. Now I will go ahead and modularize, meaning I'll select these two, right click, and I'll say create new action and replace, and I'll say navigate to file page. And this one takes place in the setup page only because once we perform click, then it takes us to the navigation page. Sorry, profile page. So I'll just select these two, right click, and sorry, and then create new action and apply. Then I'll say verify profile information, and here I would say SF profile page. And here it's asking us, do you want to parameterize these regular expressions? If we had the values which were Madhavi V and the email address, then we can parameterize it. But since we are passing the regular expression, we can come here, click on done, and let them be the literal values. So now my scenario is completed. Log into Salesforce. So this is how we can do the verification of the information on the Salesforce. Any questions on this?
Let expression will do for any value, right, Madhavi? But we want to validate particular value, particular like Madhavi only. So can we parameterize with other values also?
Yeah, you can come here and go ahead and do the parameterization. But since you know,
But
we
since
I also want to show you how regular expression works. This is how this was a good example. But the regular expression also you can come here and parameterize
so
it.
you can come here and parameterize it. Okay, like we can take list of values and from list of values, if any match will found, test will pass. Like that we can do.
Uh, Now where are you going to define this list of values?
Yeah, that's what I am thinking.
Uh,
Yeah, if we like we have number of profiles, right? Number of profiles, fixed values will be there, fixed names will be there. We will give
mhm.
all the list. If anyone matches, so that test will fail. Like that, can we do here?
So all that set
So
of
all
values
that
that you're thinking,
set of values that you're thinking,
you would be giving those values
you would
as
be giving
the
those values as
parameter only.
a parameter. Yes.
Let me just a
Let
second. I
me
will.
just a second. I will.
Okay. So now here, what I can do in here is I'll just copy this. First, you know, I'll just say I'll copy, yeah, this command, and instead of matches regex, I'll just say contains ignore case. And here we can go ahead and give the list of values. Like let's say Madhavi is one value, and then John, and then Jane, and then ABC, and then XYZ. Likewise. Now, if I go ahead and verify, this is going to fail because here it has only Madhavi V, but here we have Madhavi. But instead, if we give Madhavi V and then we try to execute, I think that should be a pass. But let's see.
But we are using content, right? So it should get passed by Madhavi also.
But it will search for entire Madhavi V. So if you see here, it's getting the entire Madhavi V. Uh, so with the contents also sometimes it will just check for the entire string instead of the part of it.
Yeah, that you're right, but it will see the space also, no? But Madhavi space V is right. First it will check the Madhavi. If that is fine, means it will pass the case, right?
But now here, I mean, we are using the command on web element, right? So what it assumes is it says Madhavi, V, John, Jane, ABC, XYZ are also present, but it just they may contain or may not. But chances is that it will assume they should be contained. So instead of this, what other option we can do is we can say get web element property slash text. So I'm going to locate a free. static name and store it in a variable which is name. I'll copy this here. And now I can say verify text matches. Verify text matches. And I'm going to say in the literal value, the Madhavi, this has the contains ignore case. This has the local parameter name. And then verification content. And we can give. So now in this string, we have this Madhavi name that we got from the application. Now this is a pass. Any questions on this?
No question.
Okay. So yeah, so if you have a list of like you mentioned, if you have a list of names, then you can define them at the global property, which I'll talk about it later. I mean in the today's session only. And then here in the action, where is this action? Yeah. Here in this action, you instead of giving it as a literal, you can come here and give it as a global property. Okay. I'll just comment this too for now. Yeah. Comment
Okay.
this too for now. Yeah. Okay. So that was about verifying the information on the page and also how can we get the information from the application page. Now, let me go ahead and do the execution of this scenario. Okay, now we are logging into the application. So if you see, even before the entire page is loaded, it was clicking on this and then we are navigated. But I want the page to be loaded and then I want it to click on this profile icon. So what we can do there is, I will go to this navigate profile page action. And before clicking on view profile, let me go to the setup page because that's where we were. Yeah. Now, I'll just ensure that this create button, is enabled or any other thing that is enabled and only then click on this. So what I would do is I will come here, hover over it, and I will just say wait. So it will say wait for the create button. So wait for 30 seconds for the button slash screen text equals create who to enable. So until this create button is enabled, it will wait. And only once it is enabled, then it will start with the execution. So I'll cut this line here and paste it above the line 1. So new statement before and then do the paste. Now it will verify the create and then it will click on view profile and then the profile web link. This is how we can use a soft wait, meaning we are ensuring that the last loaded element is we are waiting for the last loaded element, and only once it is loaded or enabled or appeared, then we are going to perform our action execution. Any questions? Also, I will show you another scenario where we are going to use the wait for application state command. So if you see here, we have this app launcher, right? So we'll click on app launcher and we will wait until the sales console is loaded, and only then we'll click on the sales console. But again, if you see, okay, we are here on the setup page once we log in. So the sales console, uh, it should be enabled, loaded, appeared, and enabled. And only once it is done, we are going to click on it, and then it will take us to the sales console app. So let's write another script for that also. So I'll just say uh, verify and navigate to sales console. So I'll just say recording design studio. And I'm going to invoke the browser again. Let me perform. Log into Salesforce, and then yeah. Now that we're here, first I want to add verification for the app launcher. So I'll just say wait for web element to enable. We also have different options, which is appear, disappear, enable, disable likewise. So based on our requirement, we can come here and select the necessary verification condition. And only once it is verified, I want to click on it. And then I want to verify the sales console is enabled. So I'll wait for it to be enabled. And then I will perform the click operation on sales console. Now I'll come here and uh, combine all of these action commands into a action where I'll say navigate to sales console app. Now this takes place in the setup page only, because once we clicked on it, we are navigating to a different page. Now here is where I am going to do the validation. Now again, if I go here and select the verify, it will still say sales console, and I don't want to verify the text of the button sales console equals sales console. And even if I see whether it has a static value, there is no chance to do that. So in this case, I will go with the repo element. And this is a unique match. But if you see here, even if I deselect the tag, which is header one, and update it, in some cases, if I save the element and then go back, in some cases, this will be enabled again. So I will save this element and say app name, and then create. And here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type verify web element property slash text smart locator. Verify the text of the web element app name equals sales console. Now let's say I have a different app here. So let me just say service console. And the service console also, it will identify as a web element because we did not select the text property. So if you see here, since we did not select the text property or the AQ data property, even though if you are changing the app, it's still identifying. So here instead of sales console, I give service console and execute. This would also be a successful match. Uh, any questions?
So for the weight you had it right. So that weight is the uh, on the. I mean that weight works for this playback or in the even in the execution or speed. Because in the
It,
execution also we have a weight, right? Like when you click on run, there is a pop up where you can
mm,
set the weight. So what is the difference between these two?
okay. The difference between, okay, let me click on run. Yeah. So the here it is the timeout, meaning it will wait for 60 seconds for the page. And if the page is not loaded, it will show a timeout error. And this is also for 30 seconds. This will only come into picture if we don't set up these kind of weights here. But since we have this weight and this is also 30 seconds, that is also 30 seconds. But even though if here it is not found, this 30 seconds and this run model 30 seconds, it would be the same 30 only. And then it will say that, okay, I am unable to find this and it throws an error. But if we don't have this element, let's assume I directly use click on app launcher, then this 30 seconds which we have, right? Element, this comes into picture and waits.
So if we added weight in the script level itself, this will not
Mhm.
consider the runtime weight you are saying.
Yeah, mostly it won't.
Okay. But then we when we have an option in the runtime, why we need to add at the script level? We can reduce the lines, right?
In the
Automation coding
runtime,
lines.
this is something that we implemented because in some cases we tend to forget adding this weight. So this is where comes into picture. But again, if you want to reduce this, you can definitely do that.
Okay. Okay. So there is something called page timeout, is there, right? How do we add timeout in the script level?
Uh, this one we can't add it in the script level. This is only at the run model level.
Because when we navigate to one page to other page, there will be delay happens, right? Even in the payloads. I
Mhm.
mean, record and play option. During the time, how do you add wait the navigation from one page to other page?
In that case, you can, capture any text on the page, which is, constant. Like I'm here in this cases. So every time if I come to this tab, this would be constant. So what I can do is I can just say, wait for this element to load. And we can always increase this from 30 seconds to 60, 120, 180 also.
Mhm.
So uh, here it will wait for the seconds that we mentioned. But if it is appearing on the screen and enabled only at the 10th second, then it won't wait for rest of the 20 seconds. It will start the execution.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, yes. Yeah, answer. But sometimes the elements are taking more than the expected. In such case, how do we had uh, explicitly to wait till that element to appear? We have to set the condition, something like you enable to add it, right? Like we need to add some appear condition.
Yeah, you can just instead of enable, you can change it to appear. And if it is taking more than 30 seconds, you can just increase this.
Okay.
This one, if you even, like I mentioned, if you even give 60 seconds, it won't wait for the entire 60 seconds. If it is found around like third second, it will just execute this and it will say that, let me show you here.
Like fluid weight, it'll do that.
Yeah,
Like fluid
the
weight, it'll wait.
element, the element is found and then it will go ahead and do the rest of the action execution.
Okay.
I'll show you. Uh, I'll show you just a second. I'll just create this action and then verify app is sales console. And then we will have this. Yeah. new context, and then I'll click on done. Wait, turn off because I don't want to touch it. Okay. And then I'll say perform logout. Now let me execute this and show you, because if you do see, we have added 60 seconds for the app launcher to be enabled. Okay. And let's say this one, I did it to 120 seconds. Now let me go ahead and execute. Click on run and then view progress. Yeah. Now it's waiting for the 60 seconds. And since it's already appearing, it won't wait the entirety of the 60 seconds. Now same goes with the sales console also. So if you see here, oh sorry, let me refresh. So if you see here, it says Element app launcher is enabled, and it took around like 348 milliseconds only. So it didn't even took like 1 second. So instead of waiting for the entire 60 seconds, it went ahead with the action execution. Any questions, anyone? Okay. So this is how we wait for the application or any element in the page. Now, we also, if you have seen here, let me open the run. Yeah. If you have seen yesterday and today, it was throwing a warning error saying synchronization not defined, synchronization not defined. Meaning, um, if we set up a synchronization or a sync element on a web page, it will wait until that element or text is seen on the page, and only then it will start the action execution. But since we did not set up any, it is defaulting to the standard browser load, which is the 60 seconds. Now, how do we set up the synchronization? That we can do by going to the context. And if you see, it's also is a warning error here. The same. So if you open the SF login page, it's asking synchronization is not set up. So I'll go to the information, and we have the synchronization, which is setup synchronization. Let me do the logout and get the right value. So I give forgot your password. Let's get that. So I'll give forgot your password text here as the wait for this. So here I don't have any elements here. So that's why I'm going with content or title, and it will wait until the page has forgot your password. Okay. Let's also add for another one, which is setup page. So once we log in, ideally we are landing on the setup page. So I will say setup home. Okay. And I'll come here. But if you see, it already has a web element. So in this case, I can either go with element on the page, which is profile web link, or I can go with content or title and say setup. Setup home. This is the setup home. Oh, yeah. And then I'll click on done. And if I refresh, both of this, it's not throwing any warning. but the rest it is throwing because we did not set up the synchronization. Now let me set up for the contacts also. And in the contact, we have contact name. So now for this, I am going to set up the synchronization on element, which is contact name. And here also we have the condition. It exists, not exist, enabled, disabled, and whether the properties, and you can give the property name, property value, and property contains, not contains, text is not, contains, not contains, likewise. And then we'll click on done. Now let me also set up for the sales console page, which I will select this as the app name. And then, yeah, let's go back to our scenario, which we just executed. I'll open this run here, but I'll also do another execution and I'll show you the difference. Okay, let it get executed.
So this synchronization setup is default to 60 seconds. Can it be increased to increase or reduce to from 60 to 30 or 60 to 90? Depends on the application. We may
Depends
record
on,
yeah, more or less, right?
yeah, depends on the application. And again, that these, it will be done in this, just a minute. It will be done in this run model only. Let it get executed. Yeah, again we can set up this in the run model only. Now if you see, in the earlier run we had this warning which is synchronization not defined and all this, but the run which we did not set up it for the init page, so that's why we are only seeing it here. But if you see, for the sales console, we have set it up for text content setup. And since this was verified, it started the execution. And we have also set up the app name, which was an element, and the condition exists. So it took 5 seconds to load. So it waited until this was existing, and then it started the execution. Same goes for this app name here. It took 180 milliseconds. So that's why this was a bit fast. But if you see here, where we did not set up the synchronization, the same action, we're verifying the sales console. This took around like 2 seconds only, but it did verify the sales console. And if you see the screenshot also, the previous screenshot, this was not fully loaded. And if you see this screenshot where it took 5 seconds, it waited for the sync element to exist, and then it verified the sales console text. Any questions on the synchronization? Okay. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to go ahead and create an opportunity. And then once we create an opportunity, let's assume we created this particular opportunity. Once we create an opportunity, we are going to verify the opportunity name here, whether it matches with the one which we have given here or here, anywhere. Okay. This is opportunity. Yeah. So I am going to go back to my Excel queue and then new scenario. And then I'm going to say create a opportunity and verify. So I'm going to invoke the browser and then log in to Salesforce. Now, if you remember from yesterday's contact and the call log, we did create one action where it navigates to the contact. Search for the app in App Launcher and then click on it. So here I'm going to use the same action. Okay. And instead of contact, I am going to give the opportunities. So I'll just say search for an app in App Launcher, and I'm just going to give opportunities. And it will search for the opportunities in the App Launcher and then click on that particular lost on error. Let's see why this is throwing an error. I think because of that, here I'll just say wait for web element locator free, and I'll just say buttons. Let me click on app launcher and then opportunity. Yeah, I'll just say wait for web element locator free, and label I'm going to use multi-line and then give the app name followed by the second index. This is app name followed by hashtag to second index to be appeared. Opportunities 2 is found, and then it clicks on it's weird. Opportunity 2. Okay. Now I'll close this and I'll go back here and then do the action execution from here. Yeah. Now it took us to the opportunity page. Now here also I want to add wait for this new. So I'll just say wait new, but I'll say enable. But here I'm going to give the anchor text so that every time it will look for opportunities and nearby opportunities, it will look for new and then validate. So let me give you an example. So if we go to contacts here, there is new button in the contacts also, but there is no opportunities anchor element. So this will throw an error. Yeah, so if you see I navigated back, so it waited for 22 seconds and then it found the new. So that's why this was successfully passed. Now here I'm going to click on new, but again I'm going to go ahead and give the anchor text here, which is opportunities. Let's just say about tester. Yeah. Now that we have opportunity here, I'm going to get random data for opportunity name, for the random date for the close date, and then select the stage here. And then that's all. Rest all fields I'm just going to leave empty. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to say get random data, and I'm going to leave it as alphabetic. I want it to have a range between 4 to 8, and the prefix it should be opportunity hyphen. and suffix I'll just leave it empty and return the value in opportunity name. Okay, now we got here. I'll just change this from 6 to 10. Yeah. Now I got this as the opportunity name. So every time this will be a random generated alphabetic string. So I'll come here, enter text, and I'll use the opportunity name. So whatever random text that we are getting here, the same will be passed into this opportunity input field. And I'm going to do the same for the close date also. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add to current date, add to date and time, and I want to add 5 days. 5. Again, I have duration criteria also here. I can add years, months, days, hours, minutes, seconds. So I want to add 5 days to the current, and I can also change my date format, return it in a variable which is close date. And if you see, 5 days from today is 23 March. So I'm going to input this in the close date. I'm going to use the local parameter close date. Okay, let me check the format. Okay, date, month, year. Date, month, year. Okay, now I'm going to remove this and I'm going to re-execute line 8 and line 9. And see, we just changed the format and now it's a match. And here stage also, since it's a drop down, I'm going to select an item. And here I can give the item name, or I can give the HTML value, give the index or random item. So I want to give the index as 3 and hit enter. So every time it will pick up the third value. So if you see here, first value is this one first. Here it should pick up the needs analysis. Let's see what is picking up. I think. Hmm. It's unable to find. Okay. Yeah, we can give the index, or we can again give the text that we want, which is qualification, and hit, and then it will select the qualification from the drop down. Okay. Now I'll just click on save here. Close date opportunity. Okay. Sorry. Uh, and then hit on save, and then the opportunity is created. So what I will do is I will first modularize these two, and I'll say click on new in opportunity page, and this one would be in SF opportunity, SF opportunities all page, and then this is an opportunity create page. So I'll just say create a opportunity, and this is self opportunities create page. And here it's asking us for the input parameters. So if we want, we can parameterize this, but I only want to parameterize this value, which is stage, and I want to get the opportunity name, which I'm fetching it in line number 5 via the random. And also in line number 7, we are getting the close date, right? So I'll just say close date. Now here we are creating the data and storing it in a variable so that we can use that in the next actions. Now I'm going to wait for this to be appeared, and then I'm going to verify the opportunity name, the close date, and the qualification. So I'm going to hover over this, right click, and I'm just going to say verify. Now if you see here, again it's taking the opportunity name, and since we are doing the random name, every time it wouldn't be the same. So again, instead of button/screen text, I will use the static field, and instead of the label this, I'm just going to say opportunity name, and then give the value as WYNN. See, now this is a successful pass. The same way we'll also do for the close date. So verify. Instead of typing it from here, I can just say verify web element, and I can say from here text property element type is static field, and this is close date, and the value is 23/03/2025. And here we have this stage. So I'm going to do the same. Verify web element property/text. And here again it is static field, label is stage, and the expected value is qualification, which is the stage. Okay. Now I am going to select line 6 to line 9, right click and say verify the opportunity details. And here it belongs to the SF opportunity details page. And here I want to parameterize the opportunity name, expected opportunity name, and the close date, which is expected close date, and the qualification also. Let it wait. And then my last step is perform logout. Now here if you see, let me finalize the scenario. From all page, perform logout is opportunity details. Yeah. Okay. Now here if you see, we are getting the random opportunity name in action 5, random close date in action 5. So these values that we are seeing here are dependent on the fifth action. So that's where we do the parameter linking, meaning we'll click on this expected opportunity name and then select the third option, which is parameter linking, and then link it with the fifth action's opportunity name and then update. The same we are also going to do for expected close date. This input parameter is dependent on the close date that we are getting in action 5. So close date, click on update. And this expected stage also, we are doing it dependent on action 5. So we'll link it with this stage. Now, whenever we do the execution, every time this opportunity name, whatever we are getting it here, it will be passed here the same. So let's do the execution and see how it exactly works. Now we are navigating to the opportunities page, and then it clicked on you. We are giving the name, date, stage, clicking on save, and then verify. So if you see, we got opportunity YSB as the random value. So in the validation also, where we are verifying the opportunity name, it should be passed the same. So if you see here, opportunity YSB is inputted in the opportunity name, and this is the output value, and the same is passed to the next actions input. So opportunity YSB. Any questions on here?
Can we pass this output value to the next script? Next
Sorry,
script
could
if required. If next script required our output value as a search value or any input value, how to
Mhm.
send this output value to the next script?
Yeah, so this opportunity name, you'll click on this and click on yes, and then create a run parameter, which is opportunity name, and then you'll add the property, update it. Okay. And in another action, let's assume this one. Let's assume this one, and this is our opportunity name. This one, this comment, you will link it with the same opportunity name. Okay. Now, if you were to do this scenario execution individually, you have to provide this value. But if you add them to the test suite, where you add this create opportunity at the first position and then log a call at the second position, whatever value is created here, it will automatically pass here. You don't need to define it. I'll also show you how we do that uh, in the next session, or Wednesday or Thursday, probably.
Okay. So I have one more question.
Yeah.
So currently we're working under the opportunity object, right? So
Mm.
under the opportunity object, we have I mean, we created the script for creation of opportunity and validation part. So if you
Yeah.
want to add one more test case, something like I need to validate some other fields also. So which I want to create as a separate case means that should be created as a test case or scenario.
Uh, so here, let me show you. We have multiple stages. So if you want to add another value, like let's say I want to have value proposition, I can come here to Excel queue, create another test case. I'll just say put it as qualification. Okay. And I will
But
create.
we cannot add additional steps here, right? For the another test case, I need to add some additional test steps to validate some other fields also. So that cannot be done in the in single scenario, right?
In the test case, we can't do it, but in the scenario, you can add it here in the verification, and then you can do the possible verifications.
Mhm.
Let me quickly log
So
in.
if you want to have a similar script with a different line of validation, so I need to create another test scenario only, not a test case, right?
No. If like let's say if it's one or two validations that you're doing, uh, you can just add it in a same script and you can just do the conditional logic. But if it has more than, eight validations that you're doing, like just a number, but if you're doing
Mhm.
more validations, then it would be better to have a separate action.
Okay.
And in the separate scenario, you can call that action where this action it would be same. And then the new action, you can add it after this action.
Okay. So we have a clone option also, right? For scenario clone.
Scenario, there is clone. For action also, there is clone. But if you do the scenario clone, the actions would be original. The scenario is just a duplicate. So that's where
Okay.
we have to be very specific about. I mean, like we have to ensure that even though if we clone the scenario, the actions are original. So whatever we update in the action logic, it will be reflected in two scenarios.
Got it. we need to clone the action as well.
Mm,
In case if I want to have a different action for the different scenario.
yeah,
Okay.
action cloning would be better. Any more questions, anyone, on this verification and the parameter linking? Another point about parameter linking is this sixth action, I can link with any parameters from action line 1 to action line 5. But if there are but if I want to link this third app name to this one, that would not be possible. So app name, I can only link it with username, password, and stage, I can link it with app name, username, and password likewise. But app name, I can't link it with the stage, close data, and all of this. So we can link the below actions to the above actions only. Any more questions, anyone? Okay. So we can take a quick 15-minute break, and let's be back by 3:30 p.m. IST. And then after the break, we'll go over the conditional statements, and we'll also see how we can use the expression in the Axel queue. Okay. Hello, everyone. Um,
I
Okay. Hi. Just a second. Let me share my screen. Okay. So if you see here in the stage, we have multiple options. And every time I don't want to, go to the test case, and if I want to update, delete this and then give the other value. Instead, what we can do is we can go to the resources here, and here we have the data list where we can create a list of values that are available as in the input field or in the drop down, and assign this list of values the action input parameter, which then constricts the user to pick any of the value from the list. Okay, I'm going to show you how we are going to use that. So I'll create a data list and I'll say stage. Let me get the values: prospecting, qualification, needs analysis. So I'll say prospecting, qualification, needs analysis, and value proposition. Proposition, and then ID, decision makers, perception analysis, proposal price quote. Okay. Now that we have added all of the values, I'll just click on create and my data list is ready here. But I will go back to the action where we are using this stage parameter. Open the parameters tab from the left hand side. And here we have stage, right? I'll click on the three options here and I'll say change accepted values. And instead of it being a literal text, I will change it to data list and then select the data list here, and then it would be stage and then update. Now, if I go back to my test case in the scenario, if you see, this becomes a drop down list where it restricts the user to only select from the list here. Okay, and I can also add all the values as test cases also. So if you see, we have generate test cases, and here it has prospecting, needs analysis, all the values. And if I select them, these automatically becomes the test cases for us. So I have selected this. I'll just put stage prospecting. And then I'll click on OK. Now see, all of these are created. But if you see, for this, it doesn't have the username, password, and app name. So I'll click on show data table here and then copy the value and then paste it here. Click on check. The same I'm going to do for all of them. So in show data table, I can come here and edit all the test cases at once instead of opening every single test case and then filling the value, clicking on save. So I'll also edit the password. And I'll also capture these opportunities and then pass it here in all of these values. And if you see, I have all the values here, and I'll just close this. And if I open any of the test case also, it has all the proper values. Okay. Now, okay. Now this is how we can use the data list. Any questions on here? Okay. So if you have seen from the first scenario that we were creating since yesterday, we have used the literal value for the URL. But let's say this is the lower environment, and I also want to execute this in the production environment. In that case, I have to go to every scenario and then update the URL, which doesn't seem ideal. So in that case, what we can do is we can again come to the resources, go to the global properties, and create a global property, which is Salesforce URL. And we can have a default value, or we can have values specific to the app environment, and it will show test, staging, and production. So in the test, I'm going to give the URL here, and in the production, I'm just going to say test.salesforce.com. Let's assume this is our production. So I'm going to give the production here, and I'll click on add property. Now I have the URL here. So I want to link this global property to the scenario. So I'll come here, and what I'll do is I'll click on this URL, and instead of it being a static value, I'll change it to the global property and change it to the Salesforce URL and click on update. Now, if I want to execute this in the test environment, I'm going to select the app environment as test. If I want to execute it in the production, I'm going to click on this and select the production. And it will pick up the right value from the global property. Now, I also want to do the same for the username and the password. So again, I'll click on username here, static value, global property, create a global property directly from here, which is Salesforce username. And this username again, for let's say I have the same username for all the environments. So I don't want it to be value specific. So I'll just give this here and then update. Now, if you see, this username is linked with the global property. And a password also, I can send it as a global property. But for that, I have to encrypt first. So to encrypt, I'll go to resources and go to the utilities. We have encrypted text here. I'll pass this, copy, then create a global property here, which is Salesforce password, and then give the encrypted password here, add property, and then come here and update the password to the global property. Salesforce password, click on update. Any questions so far? Just a minute, someone is at the door. Sorry for that. Yeah. So this is how we are going to use the global properties. Any questions on here? Okay, great. Now, we can also use the run properties. So let me create another scenario here. So I'll just say navigate to a opportunity and update the stage. Okay. So I'll click on save and continue, and I'll record it in the design studio. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say invoke browser. And from here, I'm going to select the global property, which is Salesforce URL. And the same I'm also going to do for login. Global property, username, and then global property password. And I'll also use just a second. Okay. Now that we have it here, uh, okay, now I'll just say navigate to the opportunities page here. So I'll just say search for an app in App Launcher, and I'll just say opportunities. Okay. Now that we have the opportunity here, I want to click on this opportunity name. So what I'll do is I'll just say click on a web element. Okay. Later when we come here, I will parameterize this when we convert this into an action. Okay. Now here, what I want to do is I'll edit the stage here. So I'll just say click on edit here and then select an item from drop down, which is what can we give? Value proposition. Okay. And then I'll click on save. And then we have the value. So what I'll do is line 4, I'm going to create an action and say navigate and open the opportunity. And this one would be in all. And this one, we would just say update the stage. And I want to parameterize the stage. And then I will finalize. Now here, two things I'm going to do. The first thing is in action line 4, I am going to parameterize this as a opportunity. I'll just say opportunity name. And in action line 5, I'm going to update this stage from literal value to the data list. Okay. Now, this stage I have to give input parameter, but I'm going to select it to the run property and then click on update. Okay. Now, since this is a run property, it will ask me when I'm doing the execution. So if you see, it is asking me the value here. So I have to give the value here so that it will pick up the right value and go ahead and click on it for us in the application. So I'll show you how it exactly does. Okay, we are logged in and we are navigating to the opportunities. And then it's updating. And if you see, it navigated to the right opportunity. Okay. But if I create a test suite, I'll just come here to the test suite and just say uh opportunity, save and continue. And I'll add the two scenarios where this is create an opportunity and then update. Okay. Now here what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit on run. I'll just select only one test case, which is prospecting, and then click on run. Now I don't need to give the value here because whatever is created in the scenario one, which is create a opportunity, that value will be passed to the second scenario. So I'll show you how that works. But this is only applicable in the test suite. Let's say this scenario, I want to do a scenario execution. I have to pass the value, else this is going to fail. Okay. So let's see how the execution will go. It's creating the opportunity and it's verifying, and it should do the logout. And now it should start the second scenario, where for the second scenario, it should open the same opportunity name, which is opportunity IX, OBP IX. So we are again navigating to the opportunity page. And if you see, we are navigated to the opportunity IX only because we got the value from the scenario one and that was passed to the scenario two via the run parameter. Okay. Any questions on this? Okay. Now here, let's go back to the create an opportunity scenario only. Now, if you see here in the opportunity, let me refresh the grid. Yeah. Or else if here in the new only, here in the stage, if it is selected as none, then this is empty probability. But if we select the prospecting, it is 10%. If we select the perception answer, it's 70%. So only if it is none, then it becomes blank. But other than that, if we give any other value, there's a probability percent that is showing up here. So we are going to verify this particular if condition using the if condition in AccelQ. So let me go to the create an opportunity action. And I will manually open the create an opportunity. But before that, let me add another one with where I want to add the amount. So I think no, let it be, let it be. Okay. So here what I want to do is if the stage is none, then the probability it should be empty. So what I'm going to do is before we give the stage, I am going to say if web element, okay, sorry. I'll say get web element property slash text and I want to get the text property of the drop down of the stage and store it in a variable which is stage value. Okay, if you see, the stage is none here. So I'm going to write if web element sorry, if text matches and stage value contains, and ignore case none, which is true, then I have to verify web element, and this is the button input field, and the label is probability percent, which is empty. So you see, it is successful. But if I go ahead and give the stage and then execute line 7 to line 10, this is going to fail because it will not even enter into the if condition. So that's why it did not go ahead and do the verification. Now again, I will reuse the same action line after line 11 where we are using the giving the stage, and I'll just say change this from true to false. Okay. If it is false, then it should not be blank. So I'll just delete this command and I'll say get, sorry, I'll just say is web element uh, verify web element displayed enable web element. Then I'll just say get web element property slash text, and I will say input field probability, store it in the same value, and I'll just say uh, verify text matches, and I'll just say verify text matches, and then the stage value should not be, I'll just wait, okay, sorry, this should be number matches. Verify number matches, and number 1 should be the stage value, should not be equal to empty. Is not equal. Okay, I think this one we have to give the value. Okay, yeah, so we have the stage value and that is not blank. So this is how also we can do the if condition. And if you also want, you can write else if and give the commands, or you can also write else. Okay, so this is how we can do the conditional logic in the Excel queue. Any questions so far? Okay. So we also have something called expressions in Excel queue, or multi-line expressions. Both mean the same. So what I am going to do is here, before we click on save, I'm going to get random number. Okay. So meaning what I'm going to do is I'm going to get random number, and that random number I'm going to do the 50%. Let's not do 50. Let's do the 25%. And then after we do the 25% of that random number, I'm going to input that into the amount here. Okay. So we can also do those type of calculations in Excel queue. So before that, I will just say get random data, which is number, sorry, integer. Minimum I can give as 100, maximum I can give as 500, and store it in a number. So here I got 124. So two ways I can do the percentage. One is I can just say enter text in web input, and here I can select the expression slash multi-line, And from this free-form text, I can change it to numeric expressions. And I will just say, select the value, which is a number, multiplies 25 by 100. And I'll click on save, and I'll just say amount. So it will do the numeric value here, and it inputted the 31 here. Okay. Other way is I can just type equals a symbol, which is expression, and then store it in a variable, let's say amount. And here again, we have text based and numeric. I'm going to select numeric. And we have here, if we select the less than symbol, it will show the parameters, which is number into 25 by 100. And I'll click on done, and let me print the value. So I'll just say print amount as information. You see, I got the same. It's just that I used only one action line here, but for this, I have to use another line and then pass this amount here. So it's one and the same. Okay. But let me this, let's see how it performs. Let me do it again. So we got 147, and 25% of 147 is 37. Any questions on this?
So we uh, so to validate something in the verify line as expected, we can create like a variable and pass it, right?
Hmm.
Pass this variable. Okay.
So here also, let's say enter. Here also, for this multi-line, we have free form text where you can send in the variable. You have JSON expression, XML, numeric, or JavaScript snippet also.
Oh,
And for variables, you just have to open two curly braces followed by dollar symbol, and then you would get all the variables here. A means action inputs, G means global properties, L means local parameters. Okay.
okay. So
So
sorry, we need to. I mean, to do the same thing in expected result validation, we need to create a variable, local variable, right? I mean,
yeah,
we need to pass this in the local variable, and local variable will be passed to the expected value line.
mm,
Oh,
you can do that. Yeah. So this is how we can use the expressions in the Excel queue. I mean, we can do the math, and then we can also combine two variables and then pass it as an input, or you can send the JSON expression or the XML expression likewise.
okay. How about the
And
loops, for loop, while loop? These things also can be created
yes,
inside
loops,
the.
I'll go over it in a couple of
Okay,
minutes.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And here also, when you do the math, we can also round off the decimals. So here it is 0, but here if I give 2 and click on save, and then let me click on new here. Yeah. And here I should get the decimal points for this number. So you see 76.50. So this is how, if you want to include the decimals in the precision, you can change it, or else you can just give 0 if you want. In expression also, it's the same. Uh, if you were to use the expression in the numeric, we have the round off here. So again, if you give 2 here, it will say 76.50. Okay, any questions so far? Okay. Now we did go over the conditional blocks, but we also have the looping in the Excel queue, and we also have do while and the while loop also. I'll show you how we can do the repeat loop, which is the for loop, but you can always try out the do while and the while loop. Okay. Now I have a use case here for the repeat loop. So what I can do is I'm going to save this opportunity name element and then iterate through to all the rows and then get the opportunity name here and then store it in a list value. So how I'm going to do that? I'm going to go to the Excel queue and first create a scenario where I would say get all opportunities and then record in Design Studio. I'll select invoke browser. Again, I'm going to use the global property. And for login also, I'm going to use the global property. And I'm going to use this search for an app, which is yeah. Now that we are here, what I want to do is first I will save this element here, which is the opportunity name. So I'll right click on it and say save to repository. And again, I will deselect the text property because I don't want it to be a unique match. I want to get all the opportunity names here. And I'll select the record ID here, which now had gotten down to 10 matches, but I only wanted to highlight the opportunity name column. So let's see if I have any attribute in element node E. Let's see the class. Okay, class it's showing, but I can remove this one, which has the numbers. But again, it's 10 matches. And okay, but still 10 matches. So I'll click on update first. And this one is also 10 matches. Okay. But I only want 8 matches here because the opportunity name column only I want to highlight. So what I'll do is I'll go to A1 now and see if we can get it down from 10 to 8. But still the 10 matches. Let's see with tag. Same. So let's go to A2 and let's give the scope here. Yeah. Now we have given the row. So this became into 8 matches. I'm going to save this as a repeat element and then say opportunity name. Okay. And I'm going to save. Now, if I hover over the first one, it will show opportunity name. If I hover over the sixth one, it will show the opportunity name, web element. Same goes with the fourth one, eighth one, anything. But if I hover over this, it will not show because we did not save that element. And even if I change the list to view from new this week, so we only have 3, it will still show the element. And if I change it from new this week to all opportunities also, it will still show it because we have saved the element in such a way that it will highlight all the opportunity names in this particular column. Okay. I'll change the list to view to recently only. Yeah. And now what I'm going to do is, firstly, I'm going to get the count. So I'll just say web element count. And I'm going to do smart locator because we have saved the element and store it in a variable which is count. Okay. Now it says it found 8 instances, meaning 8 opportunities. So what I'm going to do is I will first create a list. So I'll say create a list and I'll assign it to the parameter, which is opportunity list. And we have new list. new list with given items, or new list has a copy of another, but I want to create a new list. Now I will add a repeat loop. So you can either type for, but it will still show repeat. So I'll just select repeat. Start index in Excel queue always starts from 1. So I'm going to give 1. And end index, I'm going to give the count because it has 8 instances, meaning it should repeat for 8 times. And I'm going to give the iterator variable. And there we have the repeat loop created. Now inside this repeat loop, I want to point it towards the iter, then get the value and store it in a list. I want to do that for the 8 times. How to do that? Firstly, I would say point to repeat element by ordinal index, and I will give the ordinal index as iter variable. Then what I would do is I would get web element text for that using the smart locator. So opportunity name and store it in the OPT name. If you see, it's pointing towards the first index. If I put the index as, let's say, index as 4, I should get this opportunity MH, that one. So let's do line 7 and line 8 playback. We got that one. Now I want to add item to list. I want to add the opportunity name to the list, which is opportunity list, and I want it to be added at the end. Then at the last, I want to print the opportunity list as the information message. Okay, now I will clear my values here and I will execute from line 4 to line 11, meaning this repeat loop should execute 8 times, and in this opportunity list we should have all the 8 values. Okay, so let's do from line 4 to line 11 and then playback. So here if you see, we got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. If you want, we can also get the count. That would be the get size of the list, and this would be the opportunity list. Store it in the list size, and we got 8. Then I'm going to do verify numbers match, and then I'm going to say list size equal to the count that we got in line number 4. I'll just say okay. So 8 equals 8. Any questions on this? So the same way you can also type here while, and we also have do while. So the same way you can also do it using the while loop or the do while loop. So let me select this and then modularize it. And I will say just a minute. And then this one would be in all opportunity, and I don't want any input parameter or the output. So I'll just click on done, and then I'll finalize my scenario. Any questions so far on this repeat loop? Okay. So if you have seen here, we only have opportunities, but if you want, we can also link that to the global property, but that's up to us. So let's go ahead and do the execution. Yeah, now the execution has started. And then it's going to get all, and then yeah, see, it got all the 8 indexes values, and it had printed the list, and it's also doing the verification. So this is how we can also use the repeat loop or the for loop in Excel. Uh, Let me just update this to be there. Just a second. Okay. So now, uh, yeah. So now what we are going to go over is, in this scenario, what all we can do in the context, what are all the details, and same goes with the action. So let's first start with the scenario here. So this is how the scenario grid looks like, and you can click on the scenario refresh just so it can update all the values. And you see here the scenario ID. If it is a scenario, it starts with S, and this is a unique ID in the entire tenant. Okay. So if you copy the ID here and share it across the team with you, and if they paste it in a new URL, new tab, they would be directly navigated to the particular scenario. So they have to perform the login first if they're not, and once they log in, they should be navigated directly to that particular scenario, which has the ID 58608. I think the training instance is a bit slow. Uh, Let me give it here only. Still navigate the grid list only. Let me log out here. Copy link. We do it in the incognito. Yeah. So if you see, it directly took us to the scenario page instead of taking us to the scenario grid. So this ID is unique for the test suite, the scenario context, as well as the action. Okay. And using that ID also, we can perform the search in the project, in that particular project. And every ID is unique at the tenant level. So let's say you have created a first scenario and it would be S1. And another project, if you create another scenario, it would be S2, because S1 is already filled up by the first project, first scenario. Now you can also do the search here with the ID. Let's say 58608. 58608. So if you see, we already got it here. Okay. Now, this is the test cases here. So this scenario has 7 test cases and rest of the scenario has only 1 test case. If we have any traceability, we will see it here. And the status, this is the status of the scenario. And when we have last updated the scenario. And in this more options, we have open scenario, run, rename, clone, delete, show references, or copy scenario URL. Now this is where you can export the automation scenarios via Excel or CSV. Or if you want, you can always add some more column menus here also. Now, if I select two, I would see this delete option enabled as well as the bulk update. So for bulk update, we can update the status to instead I want it to be under review. So I click on update and see automatically these both are updated to under review. And we can also update the tags here. So let me select these three and I want to update the tags, which is opportunities, and the tag is created, and then I'll hit on enter. And if I refresh, these three, those are created. Okay. Now let us open a scenario and see what are all the details on this. So coming from the left hand side, this is an automation scenario and the entity type followed by the ID as well as the URL. And this is the scenario name. And under the information, you can provide the description if you want, or you can change the status here, or you can add some more tags if you want. And this business process is where you will see the action steps and the context. And if you want to add a new step before, you can add it, or after delete step, you want to see the step origin, you can click on it and see what is the origin, what is the destination, what are the parameters. And let me open this scenario. Yeah. So if you see for this scenario, we have 7 test cases. And if I click on playback, by default, it will open the first test case. But with Axle Q here, you can click on this drop down and select the test case that you want for the uh, playback. So how many ever test cases are there, you can select it and click on proceed. And that test case data value would be pulled into this scenario design. Okay. Now this three dots, where if you delete all the steps, it will clear out the entire workflow. And this is the test cases tab. And you can also do the bulk import. It has to follow the test case template. So you can download it here. And once you add the data into the Excel, you can select the file here, overwrite it, and then click on import. You can also download the test cases if you want, and then it will download all the created test cases for this scenario. And we have the requirement and manual test. This one I will talk more about in the tomorrow's call. And here in the test results, you would see execution that is related to this scenario only. So if you see, but here this result tab, you would see all the test suits and test scenario execution. But here in the test result tab, you would only see this particular scenario execution. And associated defects also, for this, we need the integration setup. And once it is done, we can link the existing defects or create new defects. I'll show this in the tomorrow's call. And here we have the scenario run button, scenario refresh, and then the more options, which is rename scenario, clone, delete, or show history. And show history, you can see who all made the changes. So if you see, I have updated the test case while saving the workbench. I have updated the requirement mapping. I have done the other update, which is tags. I have updated the scenario likewise. Okay. So this is about the scenario entity. Any questions on this? Okay. So the next one that we can see is a context. So here, this is how the context looks like. Again, it has the unique ID, unique URL. And in this column, you would see the views. So if there are any views or elements saved, you would see the count. So for this contact, we have 2 elements and 1 view. And live behavior, I will go over this topic in day 4, which is Thursday. But actions, so in this scenario, there are 3 actions. And in this setup context, we have 5 actions likewise. Okay. And here also I can select all of them and bulk update the status to completed, or bulk update the status tags also if I want. And I can add new context, I can export the context, or I can add some more columns also if I want. So let's open the first column here, first context. And if we have any element, then automatically a view would be captured, which is basically the screenshot of that particular page. So we have the app name, right? So that's why the view was captured. And this is the context. This is the context ID, the context name. And if you want to add few more views, you can click on here and say new view and select the existing tab, and you can click on record view. If you don't get this, that means you don't have the AccelQ view recorder extension added to your Chrome. You can do it by AccelQ recorder extension. So you can just type it here, and we have under the Chrome Web Store. You can open this and then add this to the Chrome. And under this elements tab, you would see all the elements, and under this actions, you would see all the actions. And once you click on new action, you have to give the action name, and a new action would be created. And this is refresh context, and this is more information. So in the more information, you can rename the context, give the description, edit the status, add the tags, or update the synchronization. And you can delete the context here, or more options is, let's say, let me take some random views. Which context is this? Console homepage. Yeah. So let's say we have these 2 views that were added, but we don't have much We are not using these two views that much. And let me also add another random element. Save element, save. I'm just trying to save the element here. So we can also, I can also show you how we can purge the elements. So here, if you see, I have two elements and I'll click on this more options and I'll say purge elements, and it will purge, delete all the unused elements in the action. So if you see, it deleted the two elements that I have just now created, and then I can delete the unused views also. So it will show me what are the unused views, and then I'll delete it. And then this is how it looks. So this is mostly for the maintenance purpose, just so our context will not have many unused views or elements. And if you want to move an action, you can select this and you can select the action. And if there are any elements in the action, you also have to select the right view and then select the context here and then move it. But we have to ensure that all the dependent, sorry, when we move the action from one context to another, we have to ensure that there are no dependencies also. And here also show history, we can see what all we have done at the context level. Any questions on this? Okay. So the next entity would be action. So if you see, this is how the action grid looks like, and we have a unique ID, unique URL, and we have the action name. We also have what is the origin context, what is the destination context, what are the status, how many inputs it has, and how many outputs. So if you see, for create an opportunity, we have one input which is stage and two outputs which is close date and opportunity name. So that's why it's saying 1/2 and when it was last updated. So for this also, I can select and update the status to completed if I want. And then I can also update the tags, or I can create a new action here, give the action name, give the context. This is refresh the grid, export all the actions, or add any new column that I want. So I can say scenario access. And if you see, this has, sorry, under the scenario access, it has a check mark, meaning these actions were used in the scenario. Okay. Now let's open one of the, so if you see this invoke browser, it's a system action. So we can't make any changes to this. This is an inbuilt action. So we can just go ahead and modify the destination context or edit the action name or description. But other than that, we can't change much. Okay. Uh, Let me open another action here. Okay, perform logout. So if you see, this is an action followed by the action ID and the URL. This is the action name. And what you see first here is the origin context. An action can have multiple origin context, but it will only have one owner context. So if you see, it has only one owner context, but multiple origin context, meaning this action belongs to the owner context only, but origin context we can add as many we want. And this is the destination context. And if you see here, this is more information. This is the action name, description, status, tags, owner context. Again, we can edit this, but again, we have to move the action as well as the views if there are any dependencies. And visible for scenario, if this switch is toggle on, whenever we develop a new scenario and if we want to search with keyword, this will pop up. But if we disable this one, it won't show up in the list of actions in the design studio. And here, if you see this action is configured, it has specific origin and destination. We have other two options also, which is library action. Library action means it won't have any UI based commands. It will, so library actions are specific for APIs, database, uh, or Gmail setup and all of those. Init action means again this would be a system action. So initialization action. And here if you see, we can add some more owner context if we want, and we can also add the destination context. And this is the refresh grid. And here we can see show references, meaning in which scenarios this action was used. So you would see all the scenario list here. And we also have clone action, meaning it will duplicate the action, delete action, and then show history. Okay. And this is enlarging the recorder, this option. And then if you hit escape, it will minimize. Now here we have four tabs, which is recorder and views. Since we have a view, you will have it here. And elements that were saved to context will also show up in the action, and the parameters, input, output, and local. Input meaning we are giving the data to the application. Output meaning we are getting the data from the application. But if we save it as an output parameter, we can use it across different scenarios. Local is also getting the data from the application. It has the same meaning, but local can be used inside the action only. The local parameter, we can't use it outside the action. And here, if you see, we have this new statement. And if you select this, it has new statement before, new statement after, comment, meaning it will comment the command and it will not execute during the run. And this is command help, meaning you can see what exactly this command does, a brief description of the command. And uh, where is this? Let me just, say, yeah, I'll just get here something. I'll just, so let's say I want to get some value from application, but I hit on ignore. So it will perform, but I did not choose any means to store it in a variable. So I can select this and click on this, and it will show me the value where I can either store it in an action output or local parameter. Okay. And this is API. API calls will go over it on Friday session in brief. And then this is again create action and replace or create action, like how we were doing, selecting all and then right clicking. So these two and these two are the same. This is this is undo and redo, and this is cut, copy, paste, and delete. And we also have logic insights. So let me check for a different action. I'm unsure. Yeah, okay, I'll go over this later. But if you want to delete all the commands, you can just clear all statements and it will delete everything. And here we have this playback dropdown where it will run all the commands. And if you have selected one, it will, sorry, it will execute the selected command, or it will run up to the selection or run from the selection. And run independent job means it will only execute this action logic. Okay, let me show you here. Yeah, this is a good example. So if we do this one as an independent job, it will only execute, it will wait, and it will click. But before that, we have to navigate to this contact page. How we are going to do that? That part we are going to do manually. So we'll manually navigate. And once it lands on this page, then we are going to do the independent job. So it will execute this entire action and then show us the result. So that is how we are going to do the independent job. Any questions on the independent job? I can actually show you for the update stage. Yeah, this is a good one. So here it says edit stage, stage and save. So let me do an independent job run. And here if you see, it's asking for the init action, which is invoke browser. And the URL is Salesforce URL. Action kickoff delay means how much time it should wait until it starts the action execution. So I'll just say 300. And I have to give the parameter value, click on proceed. And again, I can select the agent here. And then I can also select the environment and hit run. So if you see here, an external run is being scheduling. So let's wait, refresh. Yeah, anytime it should start. Yeah, so if you see, it's navigating us to the Salesforce page, but it will not perform the login action. So if you see, navigate the browser to the page, SF opportunity details page. So we have to manually log into that particular page and then click on this user prompt proceed, where it will start the action logic execution. So let me do that. Yeah, so I'll just open this one. Let me see what I have given the. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, now that we are on the details page, I'll just click on proceed and it will go ahead and start the execution. It will change it to qualification and then that's all. So it executed the entire action. But before the action, I had to manually navigate to that particular page. So if you see, waiting for the user prompt 300 times seconds timeout and see user prompted to continue. And that's where it started the action execution. Any questions on this? Okay. Any questions over the entire session today?
Yes, Madhavi. I want to create more than one opportunity in a single run using the data list. How we can perform, Madhavi?
More than one opportunity. One way is just a minute. Yeah. One way is we just have to click on run multiple times, or with different data options we have here, right? So you can create the test cases and then execute. So it will create the 7 opportunities. Or if you only have one test case and you want to execute it for the 7 times, one way is you'll click on run for the 7 times. Other way is in this create new opportunity, you will write a repeat loop where start index would be 1, end index would be 7. Example, end index would be 10, and it will create the 10 opportunities here. But again, the verification is going to fail. So those are the 2 ways that we can create the opportunities in a single run, multiple opportunities.
Okay, thank you.
Any more
So
questions? Yeah.
Yeah, can we loop the single scenario multiple times?
Single scenario, multiple.
Multiple times.
Okay.
You have the topic in for the upcoming session, means okay.
No, we don't have, but I'll go over it. So what I'll do is I will clone the scenario here, create, sorry, clone the action, multiple opportunities. Okay. And I will just say, I'll remove this if conditions because I don't want them. This one. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll just write repeat loop. I'll give start index as 1, end index as 10, and iter variable. Okay. And I get all of this action logic. I'll cut them and paste it inside the repeat loop. Okay. And I'm just going, before the repeat loop is started, I will just create a list. I'll just say, I'll put it as a action output. I'll just say opportunity list. And then after save is done, I'll say add item to the list. I'll say opportunity name to action output, which is opportunity list. And then print the value list is opportunity list, and I'll just say print it. But here, if you see, it just has this, it's not clicking on new. So we also need to combine this click on new in opportunity page. So I'll just inside this repeat loop only, I'll just say actions and say click new in opportunity page. Okay. Now let me cancel this. Okay. Now let me go back to scenario and say create a new scenario, which is create. And I will save and continue. I can directly add my steps here by clicking on add step, which is invoke browser, and give the Salesforce URL, and then log into Salesforce, where I'll later configure it to the global properties. And the setup page, I'll say app launcher, and I will give the opportunity here. And this one, I want to be an opportunity all page. And this one, I'll say create. And in all actions, I'm going to select multiple opportunities. Now it's throwing an error because the third action's destination and the fourth action's origin are not matching. So I can go ahead and click on share action and then proceed. Okay. Now I am going to configure this to the global properties. Static value, global property, password. And then I'm going to give this app name as opportunities. And then the stage we are going to give as needs analysis. Yeah. So I will now go ahead and execute. Training test and then click on run. And now it should create the 10 or 7. How much did I select? Okay. It should create 10 opportunities once it navigates to that opportunity page. This is going to throw an error because it creates the first opportunity, but it lands on the detail page and it does not go back to this opportunity. Okay, so I'll abort this here and multiple opportunities. So here I'll just say click on web element opportunities. Index 1. Yeah, I'll cut this and paste it inside this. And yeah, now this should work. Yeah, so now it's navigating to the opportunity page. It will click on new, give all the values. And then, yeah, see, it is creating. The first opportunity is created. It's creating the second one. And then the third one. Now the fourth. Now the fifth. Now the sixth. Now the seventh. And the eighth. The ninth opportunity. And the last 10th opportunity. There. Now all the 10 opportunities were created. And it should print the list also. So if you see here, it's printing the list for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 opportunities were created. This is one way. Other way is you can come here and this particular scenario, just create multiple test cases with different stages and then go ahead and click on run. Or if you have only one test case, just do it for the click on run for this how many opportunities you want to create, those many times. Any question?
No question. Thank you, Madhu.
Sure. Uh, any more questions, anyone?
And this recording, would it be possible for you to send it today itself?
Yeah, actually, we had some issues with the yesterday's recording. I would definitely send it to you in an hour after the meeting ends.
Oh, thank you.
Sure. Um, if there's nothing, then we are good to close the day 2 of Axel Q training session.
Sir, Madhu. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Stop the recording.